What's up, my friends in film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us just a little bit of your time. You know, I was thinking about it the other day, and I'm like, I've got guys like Jeremy and Tex at my disposal. Why wait until October 1st before I start getting into the scary stuff? There's so many good movies that I can talk about that can scare the shit out of everybody. Or, well, everybody except for Tex, because that's all he ever does at this time, is watch scary movies. But, I mean, at least he gets me break them down for us. We're just going to start now, and all the way through October, we're going to rock and roll with some of the good horror stuff. And why not start with with a movie, a classic, one of the all-time classics that we're going to be breaking down the sequel for next week, and that is Beetlejuice. Here to do that with me is one of the co-writers of the Handbook for the Recently Deceased, my head of life, Jeremy. What's up, brother?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what plane of existence you're on. I'm still here. I don't know what happens when you say my name 3 times, but they will find out. Yeah, I'm excited for this. I haven't seen this movie in quite a while, actually, but it's still just as fun as I remember. So, as they say, showtime.
And, of course, the shape of the Lone Star State, the man who has seen The Exorcist 267 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time he sees it. I mean, what's up, brother?
The Exorcist is the greatest comedy ever made, don't you? But, hey, what's up, everybody? You know, and to be fair, Frank, if you wanted to convert this to just an exclusively horror channel, you're not going to hurt my feelings one bit whatsoever. So feel free to do that at any time that you want. So all good.
Well, for pretty much the next 2 months, it's going to be some form of horror, scary stuff because there's so much happening. We've got Art the Clown's going to be coming back next month. We got some other stuff coming out.
That guy right there.
Good. That guy right there. We'll be seeing him in many forms over the course of the next month. I have a feeling, but that's coming out. So much stuff coming out. The scary stuff is starting to roll out now. So we're just going to go balls deep into it. Probably going to re-review a few things that maybe that me or Jeremy or me and somebody else have done in the past. But now that I've got Tex here, we're going to break down the reviews again, break down the great films. But we will start tonight with Beetlejuice. But before I do that, I just want to say, every now and again, as disgusting as it is, you find one of these couples that is just so damn cute. I mean, it warms your heart. It warms you down into your coccules, you know, down into your coccyx. You just feel the warmth. You know, 2 people that were meant to be together. You just look at them, and it looks like it fits. The world is going just right. And that, to me, is this couple right here. Look at them. I mean, how when the stars collided and made the matter that made human beings, this was what I'm sure they intended to do, was to make this gorgeous couple right here. Jeremy, I mean, obviously you're better half. You are not the better half of this. Rachel's clearly the better half.
I'll never.
But I mean, could there possibly be a more suitable couple out there in the world? I say no. I mean, look at this picture. How cute is that?
I mean, I'm biased, so yeah. And if no one believes me, there's your proof that in fact this is what I do. And as Frank was saying, it's here. Spooky season's here, and this is right there. That's going to be the 2 of us for the next month and a half. So yeah,
I want this to be you guys at your wedding.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to give everybody over the age of 60 a heart attack, I mean, you know,
they'll be okay. Well, you know, I had a couple of friends of mine many years ago. They got married, and his side of the family has a lot of Amish people in it. So they were at the wedding and at the reception and all that, and there was apparently, I didn't know this till afterwards, there was apparently like a time to where the Amish people were going to leave, and that was when the booze was going to come out and the music was going to get a little saucier and things like that. They had different playlists for after they left. So, but so what we can do is we can split your reception up into like 2 moments. We can have like the first hour or so could be like the father-daughter.
Hang on, wait, no, even better idea.
And then after that, we're just going to play all like the horror theme songs. It's like the theme from Freddy, the theme from Michael. All of it. That's all it's going to be.
We're going to have this opportunity to go full movie themed. There's going to be the PG reception, and then the NC-17 reception is on the other end. And that's where all the debauchery and the fun stuff happens. That's how you separate this thing. Separate it like a theater, you know what I mean? So just go full bore with it. Why not?
You don't have to go home, but you don't necessarily have to stay here. So.
just tell Grandma, don't go down the hallway. That route, you're not gonna like. Don't go down that road. To quote that cemetery here, you're not gonna. Don't do that.
The lights are going to get really dark. Jeremy's going to get on the microphone and be like, "If you scare easily, leave now."
Sinners. I mean, I'm still going to be in that full mood even in November because it's already peaking up in me right now, where I'm just kind of more unhinged, and it's just going to stay with me till about November or something. So it is kind of an unwritten rule that about 10 o'clock, I mean, you start to really weed out the families and the kids. They're still there, but about 10 o'clock is that threshold where we start getting a little bit more aggressive. So 10 o'clock to about midnight, 1 a.m. Yeah.
Just make sure after you get married, or for now that matter, you don't piss her off because this could very easily be you.
I mean,
not just that. If you piss her off bad enough, she'll take half your shit. So don't go down that road either. Just fair warning.
I'm way less worried about her taking him the divorce than I am about this. That's way more likely with these two.
You're gonna go through our hall and be like, "Hey, nice fucking model." See me sitting there in fucking bed.
But let's get down to it. We are here today to talk about Beetlejuice. It is the 1988 American dark fantasy horror comedy film written by Tim Burton from a screenplay by McDowell and Warren Skaaren, based on the story by McDowell and Larry Wilson. The film stars Alec Baldwin, pre-Shooty, Geena Davis, Jeffrey Jones, Catherine O'Hara, Winona Ryder, and Michael Keaton as the title character. This is the first installment of the Beetlejuice franchise. The plot revolves around a recently deceased couple who, as ghosts, they are not allowed to leave their house. They contact Beetlejuice, a charismatic bio-exorcist, to scare the house's new inhabitants away. The film prominently features music from Harry Belafonte's albums Calypso and Jump Up Calypso. Beetlejuice was released in the United States on March 30th, 1988 by Warner Brothers. The film was a critical and commercial success, grossing $75 million on a $15 million budget. He even won an Academy Award for Best Makeup and 3 Saturn Awards, one for Best Horror Film, one for Best Makeup, and one for Best Supporting Actress for Sylvia Sidney. The film's success spawned an animated television series, video games, and a 2018 stage musical. On Rotten Tomatoes, Beetlejuice holds an 82% overall approval rating with an average rating of 7 out of 10. The website's critical consensus review reads, quote, "Brilliantly bizarre and overflowing with ideas, Beetlejuice offers some of Michael Keaton's most deliciously manic work and creepy fun for the entire whole family." A sequel, Beetlejuice, is scheduled for theatrical release on September 6th, which is tomorrow. We'll be breaking that down on Tuesday. And let's get right down to it. Let me get your thoughts first, Jeremy. Quick thoughts on Beetlejuice.
I like how you had to preface Alec Baldwin pre-Shooty. I'm like, let's also not forget Jeffrey Jones pre-Kitty Diddler. But
yeah, there's a reason why they probably weren't asked back for those. That's for the.
Oh no, you think? Film sets are dangerous, but not for the reasons you're thinking. Oh boy. Yeah. It's yeah, again, like I said, I hadn't seen this in a bit, but it's pretty much as described. Like I forget how just like manic and crazy just Michael Keaton is, because I mean this is still I want to point out that this is before Batman. I know we were talking about, oh my God, Mr. Mom's gonna be Batman. I'm like, this was the year before. No one thought to think Beetlejuice is gonna be Batman. What? And I would like to say, as soon as this movie ended and the credits rolled and it puts it up in the corner and it suggested something next, I kid you not, it recommended 89 Batman right after that. I'm like, well, thanks.
Of course it did.
The duality of Michael Keaton.
The algorithm did it just right then, didn't it?
As if it doesn't know me and it's like, hey, you want to watch Batman, don't you? It's like, yeah, I do. No, yeah, it's a fun movie. It's just kind of, it's quirky, and it's like I would have called, I guess fantasy dark comedy kind of is a good way to put it. It has a lot of fun just with the fact that you find out this couple's dead and they don't really understand it. You're kind of figuring it out with them as they go along, and no matter how many times you read the damn book, it doesn't make any sense. So, but you're there for the ride, and obviously you don't even care that it takes like 47 minutes for Michael Keaton to show up, truly show up, but you're not mad when it happens. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, he definitely steals the show when he gets on screen. But Tex, how about you? Give me some quick thoughts on Beetlejuice before we get into all the spoiler stuff.
Yeah, Beetlejuice is not necessarily one of my favorites, but it's one of those movies that everybody has seen. Like, I'd be willing to bet they make more off of merchandise than this movie has ever made $1 for, because this is one of those Beetlejuice is one of those franchises, even when it's not Halloween, you can just go into like a Spencer's or a Hot Topic and there will be something Beetlejuice there. Even like Walmart's are that way. So it's like the safe spooky franchise, so families can watch it. It's still kind of dark, but it's not like, Exorcist or something. So it's like I said, not necessarily my favorite, but it's a must-see film if you haven't watched it. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's one of the classics. I mean, we're so dazzled by the brilliance of Michael Keaton now that we kind of forget that there was this pre-Batman thing where he was doing movies like Gung Ho, which is one of the funniest movies of the 80s. Also very heartfelt and emotional in a different way. Stuff like Crazy People, I think is the name of the movie he did, where he's in the insane asylum for whatever reason. I haven't seen that movie in years, but I mean, he's because of roles like this, it was kind of not realized until Batman how good of an actor he really was. And eventually he goes on to stuff like Birdman, which is a fantastic movie. Spotlight was one of my favorite movies of all time.
What was that movie he did about McDonald's? Thank you.
The Founder, a fantastic movie.
The Founder, yeah, that one was good.
I thought
that one was good.
Just watch that.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of didn't realize until he got into some of the more dramatic stuff just how good of an actor he was, because he was kind of lost in these goofy characters, Mr. Mom, things like that. But once you realize how good of an actor he was, you go back to the other movies and you kind of watch him a bit differently. They hit you a bit differently. So it's not just that he's that funny guy who's acting not like Robin Williams manic, but he's got like this kind of manic thing about him. Yeah, you kind of watch him a little bit differently now. But this movie, look, it's got. The special effects were kind of B-rate, but I think that was why this movie kind of works. It's very Harryhausen from back in the day, the claymation and stuff like that. Remember, they didn't realize this movie was going to become what it became, so they didn't want to spend $200 million on it in 1988. They had to keep things kind of close to the vest, money-wise. So, but they managed to make it look very, not just good, but I mean, it fits. There's something romantic about the effects of this movie that work out, and then of course the performances are fantastic. I mean, again, everything he does is Beetlejuice. Michael Keaton, it's just brilliant. Then you get Alec Baldwin already a star, Geena Davis already a star, Jeffrey Jones, Catherine O'Hara already a star, Winona Ryder was on her way up at that point. This is early in her career, but she was already becoming a very big name. Just so many great performances, great writing, this is really one of those, and I've talked about how there's a horror comedy, but sometimes most of the time the formula is off. There's too much of one and not enough of the other. This is one of the ones that kind of gets the balance right. It's pretty close. I mean, there were some pretty scary and intimidating visuals in this movie that were kind of balanced out by the one-liners and all the ad-lib stuff that Michael Keaton did that made it very good. But let's get right into talking about the movie itself. I mean, we've already talked about Tim Burton several times, so I don't think we need to bloviate too much about it. But Tim Burton as a director, quick thoughts. Yeah,
Tim Burton is one of those names. He's one of those names like a Snyder or somebody else that people kind of swear by. Like he has a built-in fan base, and I mean, my favorite Tim Burton movies would be Pee-wee and then Mars Attacks. I love both of those films. I adore both. I will watch any of them at either time. This was probably third for me in his filmography, but you can. One thing I can say about Tim Burton is automatically you're watching a Tim Burton film even without seeing the credits. It's got a style to it. It's got a charm to it. It's got a feel like it's just everything he touches, even if it's not necessarily horror, just like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, that's got the Tim Burton element to it, the zaniness to it, everything else. And, I mean, I think maybe we're not going to talk about his Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie. I don't think people want to acknowledge that film's existence, but he's definitely a one to remember
Yeah, I've said it 100 times, and people have gotten mad at me about it, but that's just the way I feel. Tim Burton's been hit or miss for me as a director. When he hits, he comes with the movies like this. He comes with movies like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, the first 2 Batman films with Michael Keaton. But when he's missed bad. Sometimes his directorial style just doesn't work for me, depending on the topic of the story. It's like
Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes, not his best effort. I haven't been big on the Alice in Wonderland film that he did. It's grown on me a little bit over the years, but I'm still not blown away by it. Again, his Wonka movie was just awful. I mean, I try to find something good about every movie that I watch. That movie is just awful. From opening scene all the way to the credits was just bad. And the one scene that I thought he was going to hit a home run with, he was going to have the part, he blew that one. But like I said, when he's on, he's on. He's just one of those really weird directors to me. It's like most directors I can look at and be like, I like a lot of his stuff. Maybe he puts up one stinker here and there, but I like a lot of his style. Tim Burton is just so weird to me. It's like he'll throw out a movie that's dazzlingly good, and then he'll throw out like another one that's like it hits flat from the go, and I don't really understand it. Maybe it's just me.
Let's be real here. He's the kid that grew up wearing all black that didn't really say much. That for he couldn't find a hairbrush to save his life. God help the guy. He constantly looked like he got a finger in a light socket, and he's just the odd duck, and he makes odd duck movies. I mean, he's very true to himself. That's something you can say about Burton. So there's something to be said for that.
I've thought over the years that he just needs to pick. He needs to pick projects that are more his directorial style, and not try to take things and make them dark. Because like Alice in Wonderland, I think one of the reasons why that I've softened on that film a bit is because the story itself, if you read it in book form, is very dark and weird. And it kind of fits into him. So I think that's one of the reasons why I'd watched that movie.
I can't remember anything about his Alice in Wonderland. I saw it like twice, and I can't. There was nothing about it different about it stood out enough from the other iterations that I've seen. So I'd have to rewatch it.
And that's one of the reasons again why I didn't really like the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory he did, because having grown up on the Gene Wilder version, having read the book by Roald Dahl, those were kind of light and airy. And his directorial style and darkness that he tries to give everything he makes just didn't really work for that story for me. And like I said, I really wanted to see him, that the whole scene on the boat in the thing going, that really scary scene from the original Gene Wilder. I went to watch this movie and I was like, if that scene kicks it, then I'm going to be okay with this movie being a suck fest for the rest of the time. But like that one, that's the one scene that I wanted to get right and he just couldn't. And I was like, come on, really? This is because that was a scary scene. It was really dark, not quite horror, but definitely a lot of suspense and drama and dread. And he shit the bed on that one. I'm really disappointed, but whatever. Like I said, he's hit or miss. When he hits, I think he does very, very well. It's really good filmmaking. And when he misses, it's one of the most disappointing things that I see, because I do go to his movies wanting them to be good. Because, like I said, he's done movies that I really like, so I want him to make me good movies. But when he shits the bed, man, to me anyway, he does it in a really big way. And I have people disagree with me a lot on that. They're like, Tim Burton's a great director. And I'm like, well, every director's got the style, and sometimes the style doesn't work. There's been time where I've watched a Michael Bay film, and I'm like, do you really need like 12 explosions here when you could have gotten away with one? It's like could you have toned that down and given a little more story and not so much style? But yeah, nobody's ever. It's like he's the one that's like he disappoints me the most. That's why I tend to go into most of Tim Burton movies kind of like, I'm just gonna wait and see. I don't try to get too excited for them anymore, but I still want them to be good. But let's go on now and talk about the cast. And
we're going to ask the millennials' opinion on that, because I just let you guys fucking go off about it, and then I'm just like, let me tell you why you're wrong.
Well,
I was waiting.
He didn't ask me, so I was like, well.
I'll tell you what, since you're right, and I forgot to go to you because I got home like 5 minutes before we went live. Jeremy, tell me your thoughts on Tim Burton.
Jesus. Yeah, you know what? It is kind of a he does have like a certain style to him, and if that picture right there doesn't encapsulate it pretty well. He's got this kind of dark and kind of, I guess, whimsical feel to it, as I guess what I can describe it as. Like Tex said, you're watching a Tim Burton film because you can tell from the style, from the way it feels, the way it's lit. Yeah, the color palette, sometimes I guess in a positive manner, the dreariness of it, like it looks, like I forgot like when they're up there on the table and they're like the dead bride and groom. I was like, I bet you he was like, ooh, I bet you that would make a really cool movie like 20 years from now. Some dead bride. Just it was right there. And I would have now the thing is though, I forget that he did Pee-wee. I'm like, it doesn't, because that does not remotely feel like
Really?
he made that. Because I'm like, well, yeah, the whimsicalness, yes. I'm like, yes, that again, his style of that.
Well, the whole thing with a large Marge should be a dead giveaway now. I mean, looking back on
that's the insert, yeah, where it's like, oh, that's definitely Tim Burtonism. But the whole other rest of the movie, I'm just like, I would not have really thought that was him. Now, is it still a good movie? Yes, and it works because he does have that.
I love that.
It still has that charm to it. Now, I don't. Before anyone comes for me now, namely Frank, no, nothing can ever reach the pinnacle of Gene Wilder's movie. It's not a bad movie. You're going to sit here and tell me the reason why people remember that one is because that scene made no damn sense in the context of the movie. We're like, hey, now we're going to go down this acid trip tunnel, cut off a chicken's head, have a snake crawl across some woman's face, and have him have like a fucking psychotic breakdown. And then we're going to the chocolate room. Like, what the flying fuck was that? That's why people remember. And I'm like, it has no fucking semblance to the movie whatsoever. Is it memorable? Yes. The entire movie is just Gene Wilder just screwing with everybody, to be fair. And that is the genius of Gene Wilder. When he limps out and he's just messing with everybody. Like, no, he's totally fine. He does a somersault. Haha. Oompa Loompas are in my factory. I don't know. At least, like, the Tim Burton one had, like, it was just this outlandish, like, chocolate factory that just had a chocolate fucking river in it and went to, that's how you apparently get everywhere other than the elevator. It doesn't have to be completely out of left field. If you would have made something bright and like, in the sunshine and normal, I would have been like, wow, that was really weird. Why is this in the movie? Maybe in 20 years we'll just keep waxing poetical about that.
He should have turned it into a horror movie where like all of the Oompa Loompas were like slasher serial killers and Willy Wonka's like their head ringleader or something.
Yeah,
that would have been a Tim Burton.
I think it could be a really dark movie. They could have.
I'm pretty sure that Charlie the Chocolate Factory is fair use now. At least it's close. So I'd have to check. So maybe whoever's doing, fucking Blood and Honey and the
Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh meets Willy Wonka. Oh my God, make that movie now.
A horror version of a bunch of kids trapped in a chocolate factory. He brings these kids in.
Yes.
I mean, come on. We're coming. He's like, come on, kids, free candy. I mean, we all know where that leads. So it's like, why not have somebody give
the back of the van is where it leads.
Oh my God! Instead of a white panel van, it's a chocolate factory. That's where the trope came from. How did I never put that together?
I think we're always going to have the original Gene Wilder to fall back on. We're always, and the new movie Wonka with Chalamet it wasn't that bad. I mean, I
already forgot that happened.
I saw it in theaters. It was good. It's like I don't think I didn't watch it as a prequel to the Gene Wilder movie. I just watched it as kind of its own thing, its own universe. And it worked out for me that way, but. It wasn't half bad. I still, as far as Wonka's concerned, it's the Gene Wilder version I go to. But, but yeah, the new one with Timothy Chalamet wasn't all that bad. But the Tim Burton was bad. And the Planet of the Apes, good God, just not good.
Well, guys, I was like, come on, now let's be honest. If I asked Tex to fucking watch one of those movies right now, Planet of the Apes or Charlie and Chocolate Factory, I'm pretty sure he would take the golden ticket. All right.
Yeah. Gun to my head, I'll go Willy Wonka. I don't need to see Mark Wahlberg making out with a monkey. I'm good. I don't want to watch that. I'm good.
Put your hands on me, you dirty ape.
I would. You got to put the Art the Art the Clown on mask on when you say that though. But
right.
Stays on, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I would. Given those two movies, I might be like, how would I just call Cora and we talk for a couple hours about The Bachelor instead?
How How about actually my answer would be like, no. How about we watch Pee Wee Go to the Alamo? That would be my first question that I would ask. Yeah. But whatever.
Do I have to stay awake for whatever movie that I choose? Is that because I might
I'm gonna Clockwork Orange your ass, and you have to watch it.
I might just hit play and just like take a couple of whatever and go to sleep. But
actually, we should review that movie. Weren't we supposed to do that?
Which one?
Damn it, let's do Clockwork Orange.
It's not really a horror, but I mean,
no, but it's kind of horror.
I mean, we can. I mean, I'd like to. It's a weird one. That was one of the ones.
I bought a bowler hat like 2 years ago when we were going to review it, and I still haven't worn it. Damn it!
That was one of the ones I was telling Cora. I was just like, if there's some scenes that get to you the wrong way, this is definitely going to be one of those movies. There's a couple of scenes
singing in the rain and exactly the same cheery.
Yeah, you don't listen to that song the same way after seeing a Clockwork Orange. But yeah, we'll do that at some point. But now let's get on to the cast. And again, other than Michael Keaton, I mean, there is just a great cast in this film. Jeremy, I'll go to you first, so I don't forget you again. What do you think of the cast of the film, and who stood out to you the most, other than maybe Michael Keaton?
Yeah, obviously. This is not one of those things as a facet of a movie that we always talk about. Like when the cast works, it works. And really no complaints about anybody, honestly. It all fits together pretty well. And I think I'm going to have to... I think he's gone. Hold on. Pause on that one, though, for just a quick second. We were talking about it, and we were like, younger Alec Baldwin, it's not a bad-looking guy. Looking at him like that, I was like, you know what he reminds me of? I was like, when we just watched... The Hitman with Glenn Powell. He's got that same kind of look, the hair, the glasses. I was like, I see that Glenn Powell look, and I'm like from Hitman. I was like, you know what? That's part of what it is. When you're not,
let's hope Glenn Powell doesn't shoot somebody in a movie one day and ruin his career. So,
we're not shooting.
That might help us not make Glenn Powell happen. Like if he kills somebody in a movie, that might end it for him.
It's too late. It already happened. I obviously, like I said, now we're back on that. I think my favorite's obviously got to be Otho, played by Glenn Shaddix, because if anyone else is not an opposite, but like has that same just like boisterous, like cocky energy, like kind of opposite of like Beetlejuice, it's got to be him. And I'm like, dude just like has that confidence in every scene, and he's just he always makes me laugh every time I watch this movie. The problem with the mom is I'm like, did you check on your kid? Did you leave him home alone again? I'm like, she's just Kevin's mom, and I can't get that out of my head. But she's always great.
Kevin.
Yeah, right. Oh my God, Kevin! I just wanted to do that once. Yeah, and obviously, Weird and Unusual over there. She's always fun, so she's not losing her fucking mind. But yeah,
Winona Ryder.
Yeah, Winona Ryder. Well, hey, you know what? There's your connection. I mean, she's definitely not tattooed on Johnny Depp's arm somewhere forever. We all remember. People don't forget, man.
Tex, how about you? Who in the cast stood out to you the most?
I like the dog because he kills Alec Baldwin. The dog is probably my favorite in this whole movie.
Now, would you have said that pre-shooting or like after?
No, I could care less that and I don't want to bring politics into this, make this whole thing, but he is such a toxic moron. I just cannot stand Alec Baldwin. Watching him die in this film, I'm not going to lie, I rewound it just to watch him die again, just because it made me feel good.
It keeps going over the fucking bridge.
But yeah, no. Besides the dog getting the gold star for this one, Geena Davis for me really is she kind of gives like an understated performance in this, but it's so fun. It's like, oh, I'm dead. Oh dear. She acts like it's like, oh, I broke a toenail or something. It's like it's a minor inconvenience or something. And then, she's like, oh, we have to scare him. I don't know how to scare him. And then she rips her face off. Like, who thinks of that automatically? Like, you have to be crazy, right? And then, like, her performance that she's bumbling her way through the afterlife and the underworld in a fun way. there's so many big characters in this. She kind of goes under all of them, but she kind of carries it for me, to be honest with you. And I'm not even really a big Geena Davis fan, but that and her hair, her and my mother had the same exact hair in the 80s. I swear to God, like it was 15 cans of White Rain and Jack to Jesus, buddy, as they say down here. It was one of those things. So Geena Davis for me.
Yeah, I love the whole like awkward family dynamic that they have going on when they move into the house after Geena Davis and
Dad just wants to relax the whole time. That's what's so funny about it.
Are you kidding me? We live in Ohio. That is a family dynamic right there that I've seen
more
than one occasion.
Because you have the dad played by Jeffrey Jones, and let's be honest, wasn't it great when we could like Jeffrey Jones? He was in so many movies. He was in Ferris Bueller as the principal. He was in The Hunt for Red October. He was in so many movies that he was likable, and then he wasn't likable anymore. But I mean, this weird dichotomy of the family. Him, Catherine O'Hara, it's the kind of stuck-up, preppy socialite. Him who wants a more simple life, who obviously tries to be a good dad and a good husband, but maybe he's just kind of a goober and doesn't quite know how to get there. And then Lydia, who's just like the pre-emo, dark, dressed in black, whatever. My life is another hell.
Right there, baby.
That was 80s goth, yeah. But that whole family dynamic thing I thought was kind of fun. And, obviously who runs this movie is Michael Keaton, Beetlejuice. But there were some other great performances that were good. And also the guy that plays Otho, like you were saying, he is this fun character that it's like he's so arrogant, smug, and stuck up like he knows everything. But that he's full of shit. And you watch him through the whole movie like, I'm waiting for this whole thing to blow up in his face until it finally does. Because he gets face to face with Beetlejuice at the end of it all, and he's trying to run away.
And he'll still have a zinger for you right at the end.
It's great. But I do remember when it was okay to like Jeffrey Jones. It's unfortunate that things went the way it went. This picture does not look very good. It did not age well, all things considered. But I love that the family, that dynamic between the three of them, because they were all kind of awkward in different ways, and they played off each other so well. I thought it was a lot of fun to watch that, and that was really fun for me. But let's go on to the basic plot now. I mean, a bit of a different take on a whole haunting, possession, whatever. I remember a long time ago thinking that the plot was a little disjointed because it was all over the place. And I got to thinking about it as I was watching it again. And I was like, that's kind of where the magic in this story lies. It's like instead of having an exorcist, you have an opposite of exorcist, someone who's trying to get rid of the live people. So
he's trying to bring the scary back.
Yeah, at the time, that was kind of unique. You didn't see a lot of that stuff because there were so many exorcism movies, especially after The Exorcist came out and got really big. To kind of flip it the other way, to scare away the living people, and to kind of be on the side of the ghost was a different thing at the time. And of course, you added the great performances by Michael Keaton. I don't know. Tex, what do you think of the plot? Did it work for you? Or is there anything you would have changed?
Oh yeah, I mean think reverse Exorcist. I guess I've never really considered it that, but now that you said that, I can't get that out of my head. I actually like that. I mean the plot's fun. It works. It's people die and then it's been 6 months and people are living in our house. We need to get rid of them. It really, a lot of movies in the 80s weren't really plot heavy. It was just kind of a structure and then they just kind of go. To me, this is one of those. The beauty of the plot for me in this movie is looking at how each person is dead. When you're looking at, was it Miss Argentina? Like she raises up her arms and there's a slit wrist. And like the caseworker for the couple, every time she smokes, the smoke comes out of her throat because somebody cut her throat or whatever. Like how you die is how. Yeah, I love her in this movie. I don't know who she was. God bless her. She was great. She was great. Like that to me was some of the more interesting stuff of how obviously. I mean, there's like 10 minutes, maybe 15 of Michael Keaton in this whole movie. He's really an afterthought, which really shows the staying power of such a popular character. But I mean, 15 minutes of screen time created an entire fandom to this day that like a third of Spirit Halloween is Beetlejuice. Like right now, it's crazy to me. But plot wise, it works. You're trying to haunt your house so a bunch of yuppies from New York will leave. Hey, whenever I die, I'm gonna like send ashes everywhere so I can haunt multiple places. So I'm all in favor of this, buddy. I'm down for all of it. So that's my plan.
Jeremy, how about you? Plot of the movie. Did it work for you? Is there anything you did change?
No, it works. It is a fun thought to think like, man, I wonder if this is what the afterlife is like. It's like this weird corporatized, like kind of, and it's like everyone who's already dead. It's not like those are the people that work there. Like you said, like they all at least have jobs, like the caseworker, somebody who died, but hey, she still gotta, do this job for these people that have more recently died. They haven't quite figured it out yet. There's, like what Tex was saying, you see all the people and you kind of sit there and wonder, like, so what happened to you? Like, clearly, a whole team of football players didn't survive the crash. Like, no shit.
How did you get cut in half? Like, does your bottom half carry the top half? Like, how did you get on that couch? These are the questions that I have. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy.
Right.
So,
and I had to obviously be careful with this because it's 2024. But even something that Otho said, and it's hilarious because like you see it and you realize, oh wait, he's actually right. He's like, you know what they say, if you unalive yourself, you become a civil worker. And that guy that's just constantly like wheeling around on the news, like that sucks. That sucks. That's what he's doing for the rest of his afterlife.
This is the room of lost souls, with that whole shit.
There's like the dead people, yeah. Yeah, it's just a fun ride to think about, like, if this is what this is like. And then, of course, you got to think there would be this one guy that they all know about that we're like, yeah, don't mess with him. Don't touch him. This like this sleazeball, like snake oil salesman type of like dead guy who's, I mean, he's all over the place. I mean, would you question if a whorehouse popped up in front of you? No, I don't think you would, but hey, we're going to roll with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even though it was the caseworker's idea. Yeah, and having this couple that recently died, trying to figure, it's almost like you don't even realize it happened. It just seems like, oh yeah, they fell off the bridge, and oh yeah, we're back home, and then they don't realize, oh wait, no, we're dead because I walked outside for 2 seconds, and all of a sudden, like a month passed. Like, what?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like the playing with time and all that jazz, and you just kind of have to roll with the punches, I guess, and that's how it works. And it's really messed up how fast that house got sold, but it goes to show how much people care about you. As soon as you die, as soon as your body goes over the bridge, and then your house is for sale and people are trying to move in. My question though is, I'm like, if they drowned in the river, I'm like, it'd probably be annoying, but I'm like, why aren't they like soaking wet the whole movie or something? Like they drowned. I don't know.
Right. Like weird. You come out of the grave wet, but you've been there for months, or you died allegedly months ago. And then like you dry off in the afterlife. I have questions here. But,
I don't know. It would probably ruin the whole like, oh yeah, you see him go over the bridge, and then all of a sudden they're just like, oh yeah, they went back home. Like, yeah, that was really weird. And then the reveal maybe wouldn't have been as funny, but I'm just like, I don't know. They just kind of seemed a little too normal for having just died. I don't know, but that's a nitpick. And honestly, I guess it's a fun ride.
And I mean, they're just so calm when we're dead. It's like I said, they don't panic. They're like, oh my God, I died. It's like, I'm dead. Oh no. Anyways, what's for dinner? It's like they're more worried about the house than they died. Like, are you that, so stuck up in your, you're more worried about your home than your mortal, existence. But, whatever, Dave.
It'd be hard to get this house painted when we're dead. Actually, it's going to be super easy. Barely an inconvenience. As one guy would say.
Right.
Yeah, for me, like I said, the plot works. It's like there's so many exorcism movies out there to kind of flip it around and be on the side of the ghost for a change and then make it a comedy. It works. I mean, I don't even think, honestly, I can't think of any time other than, of course, the sequel that's coming out tomorrow. I can't think of any time since then that something like this has been done. I mean, maybe it has, and I just missed it. I haven't seen every movie that's ever been made in the last 30-some years. But I mean, this is the only movie I can think of where they flipped the exorcism thing around and kind of approached it from the other side and made them the sympathetic characters. Yeah, and made them the sympathetic characters.
Oh Jesus! Look at you.
especially in a comedic sense. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But yeah, there he is again. We're gonna give him a little bit of credit so he can go away, go play his video games.
Get back to your cubicle.
Don't say his name, and maybe he'll go away. Just don't say his name.
I didn't even think it.
So, I know. I'm just saying. Just don't say it. Just don't say his name. We'll be fine. So,
well, you know what happened was the Rose Gaming said his name 3 times, and he showed up. That's what happened. So I'm going to blame the Rose. But yeah, the plot. I mean, I can't knock the plot. I mean, it's like I said, it was unique. It was never really done before that I can think of. I don't think it's been done since that I can think of. Maybe it has on some like really super low budget kind of stupid comedy short from some teenagers in high school kind of way. But I mean, I can't think of any time it's been done at all like this. I can't knock it at all. It was funny. It was perfectly written too, because this story could have gone wrong in so many places, but he actually hits it just right. So and of course, Casey. Well, at least he's sticking with the theme. He's in the middle of editing the Beetlejuice the NES game. So go check out Casey is Raw. I'll plug his channel this time since it's about Beetlejuice.
That's 2. Don't say it a third time. Don't say it a third time. There's 2.
I know, there's 1 and there's 2. If he chats one more time, he's going to come out of the grave and kill us all. But yeah, go check him out. He'll have some good insights into the game, I'm sure. But now let's get into some of the expectations of the sequel. I mean, it's coming. We're going to be talking about it here in a couple of days. I'll go to you first, Tex. The reviews, from what I've heard so far, have been, we'll say, mixed to not great. That's a little disappointing for me. But again, Tim Burton's a bit of a different director. I want to give it its due. He's the creator of this world and all that. I want to give it a chance. What are your expectations of the sequel? Good, bad, or do you think they're going to do some of the things that you want to see?
Given that I'm not a huge fan of this, it's like I said, a couple weeks ago, I don't own any Beetlejuice merch. I don't even own this physically. My expectations going into this, I'm realistically having none. What do I think will happen? I think we're going to get an inverse of this film. Whereas we got like 10 to 15 minutes of Michael Keaton, I think we're going to be overloaded with Keaton in this Beetlejuice 2. I think we are going to get as much of him as we want. And I expect this to just be the most Tim Burton movie you've ever seen. I think they're going to do more with the technology to kind of take all of the sandworms and all of the things that look like they do in this film, but just the 2024 version. Probably a lot of retread if I had to guess. I mean, we are bringing back Winona Ryder, Jenna Ortega, her daughter, probably recreating a lot of things as homage or Easter egg from this film. But I wouldn't expect much. I mean, this is another legacy sequel. I mean, this was 1980. Was 2? No, was it 80? 88? Yeah, it was 88 when this came out. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure this new film is set in 2024, I think is what I read. So they're sticking to the timelines, at least. I wonder if they'll play that in the film. But, or not if, but how they'll play that in the film. But, I don't really have any expectations. I just hope it's a fun movie and they turn Michael Keaton loose. And William Dafoe, he's playing an actor in this movie. So, hey, I hope he just goes off in this one. But have him and Keaton go back and forth. That could be fun to watch. So.
I hope Willem Dafoe's playing himself and somebody actually died on set.
Well, that's what I've heard. I watched one review. I watched the Drum Dum's review of the film, and he said it's William Dafoe was basically playing it. He was kind of lampooning himself and other actors. Is kind of how he plays it in this film. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to the most. Is what is William Dafoe going to do? So I'm here for it.
I don't know. Jeremy, what do you think? Again, a lot of different ways you can go with this movie. What are your expectations? Do you agree with Tex, or is there something else you think they're going to do with this?
Well, if Willem Dafoe is playing an actor, I hope he's not some actor that accidentally shot somebody during a Western. But anyway.
Wouldn't that be the ultimate gag? Like he was on a set and somebody actually shot him.
I
mean, look, they would never do that. But still, I mean,
that'd be great.
Look, Alec Baldwin's got like two other brothers that look exactly like him. You could just throw them in there for a little cameo. It'd be funny.
Hey, I'm sure. Let's see, which Baldwin was the one that got the list? Was it Stephen Baldwin that was like the lesser of all of them? I'm sure he'd be happy to come in and do some CG work or something. So
yeah,
probably become cheap.
He probably gets mad as hell at Stephen Baldwin. I think Stephen Baldwin is a Republican in the family. He's the Trump supporter. So
oh yeah, there you go.
That would be. He might do it. Put some egg on his head.
No, he'd walk out there in a cowboy hat and a hat and a duster, and he'd be like, "Hold on, all right, I'll do it." Actually,
guns hot, everybody watch out. You know, something like that. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
Too soon. Too soon.
It's right there. Yeah, it's I mean, I know it's already not a shock that I'm like, our default resident goth girl, Jenna Ortega, is going to be in it. Like, well, yeah, no shit. So it seems like it's going to be a probably like, you know, like a family thing with like Lydia Dietz. Obviously, we're having Winona Ryder come back, and I kind of agree with Tex. I feel like there would be more Michael Keaton. I mean, is it really a bad thing to have him still just let him loose and let him just be Beetlejuice for, you know, the movie? I'm not really sure with how whimsical this first movie is. I don't really know what to expect the movie to be like. I don't. I'm sure maybe some other couple or somebody's gonna die, and like Jenna Ortega can probably like see them or something and talk to them, and it's gonna be it's gonna be a whole thing. Somehow, yeah. If it is in the current day, somehow you're still gonna have.
That's from what I've read and seen. Apparently, it's 2024. So I mean, we'll find out this weekend. But
man, you know, it's like when they did The Ring, where it's like, ooh, scary VHS, and I'm like, oh yeah, put her on the internet. I'm like, God, yeah, that'd be. That'll reach pretty damn far. That is kind of scary.
The Ring on YouTube, everybody would be dead in a week because that thing would go viral and it would be over with. Are you kidding?
I was like, that's a way that I was actually not mad. I was like, that's actually kind of clever to have that on the internet, and that's a thing. Like people are like, oh, did you see this crazy video? Did you see this? I'm like, I'm from that time. Like where you see you're in the wild west of the internet. You're like, oh, did you see this crazy shit? And you know, and it would spread pretty far. So if you got Beetlejuice having like he could be sitting on a laptop and he comes up with a fucking pop-up ad in the corner of your screen telling you about like, hey, you want to get rid of somebody at your house? Just give me a call. Type my name 3 times in the chat. Yeah, I don't know, right. Something.
Shout out to
Bronson.
You'll be as many times as we have.
Yes.
I mean, after your own heart, there, Tex.
If you haven't watched The Exorcist to the point of you can just sit back and bask in its glory at this point, you ain't living right, buddy. I got news for you.
That's her favorite horror movie, so trust me. Yeah, it's a staple.
If you can't, I can't get "Let Jesus Christ fuck you" out of my head. That's the level I'm at. Okay, so I'm a lost soul by this point. So what you gonna do?
Yeah, you know, for this movie, let me first say that I didn't think the movie was ever going to see the light of day. I swear to God, it seems like for most of the last 15 or 20 years, I've been seeing fan-made posters of all kinds of shit. And I was like, guys, this isn't going to happen. Stop trying to make it happen. It's like if they were going to do it, they'd have done it by now. It's not like Tim Burton's name didn't get bigger after this.
No, we live in legacy sequel era. It doesn't matter how fucking long it's been.
Well, I mean, even before the legacy sequels became the thing, you know, like with Top Gun coming out, and then you know all the other ones that have come along. Most recently, the Alien sequel, prequel, whatever the hell they're going to call them. Yeah. Even before then, it was just like, yeah, there was some sequels that people wanted. This was one of them, but it's like, I mean. Has the time gone on too far? Has Michael Keaton kind of moved past the part? I mean, yeah, he went back and played Batman again, but I mean, Batman is one of the iconic characters of film and comics. Not that Beetlejuice isn't iconic in and of itself, but it's like, I mean, were you going to go back to that? And there was so much. It's not if Tim Burton wanted to make it a long time ago, I feel like he probably could have. because his career has only gotten bigger and bigger since this movie came out in 1988. I felt like that if they wanted to make it, they'd have made it a long time ago. But then a couple things happened. Number one, the legacy sequels became big. Top Gun Maverick comes out and does well. A couple others come out and they do well. So they're like, oh well, maybe now is the time to do this. Michael Keaton's career went through a bit of a renaissance with starting from the Birdman on some of the stuff that he did, and of course into the MCU playing Vulture and all that. So his career got kind of restarted again. Not that I don't think it ever really went anywhere, but I mean his career kind of got kicked back into high gear again. So maybe this was just the right time. As far as what we're gonna get, I don't know. What I want more from movies like this is I want them to fit. I don't want them to be 10 times better than the original. I want them to work with the original. That's one of the things that was great about Top Gun Maverick is that they didn't try to do way too much with that movie to make it a bigger spectacle. They're just like, you know what? We know what worked for the 1986 film. We're just going to go ahead and do that for this film and just make sure that these two movies go well together. And sometimes that's all I want. Sometimes that's how you make the movie great. And if they do that, that's fine. What I wanted them to do, and it's pretty clear that they didn't do it because I've seen some of the the trailers and whatnot, is I wanted like Lydia to come back and to still be kind of dark and brooding. That's fine. And I wanted her kid to be like a Valley Girl. I wanted her to be a cheerleader. That would have been a more interesting kind of back and forth to me instead of both of them being dark and gothic. I'm like, come on, we did this with Lydia once already. Do I want Lydia and Lydia Jr. or do I want Lydia and her daughter, the perky cheerleader, Buffy girl that cheerleads and she's part of the pep squad and all these high school clubs and doesn't understand why her mom is so dark and they don't get along. And then of course they find their way together at the end of the movie and whatever. Obviously, Beetlejuice is going to try to back up on her daughter at some point and do the same shit they did in the last movie. Which whatever, that's fine. if he's going back to his old plan, whatever. It's not like they didn't do Star Wars. Star Killer Base is just a really, really big Death Star. So I mean, whatever. I mean, I just want the movie to fit more than anything else. Don't overdo the special effects. Honestly, if I get claymation of this movie, I'll be happy.
Yeah,
I don't want to. Like I said, the effects are one of the things that made the original film from '88 kind of magical. It made it kind of B-rated. It looked like the old stuff from the Harryhausen days back in the day, the Land of the Titans or whatever the hell he did. It looked like that. It looked nostalgic, and I think that's one of the reasons why this movie has kind of stood the test of time. It's different. They weren't falling for all because, like in '88, the CGI boom was happening in Hollywood. So you either had movies that were very well written and acted, or you had movies that were spectacles. It was the '80s had trouble putting them together at times, but like this movie kind of had a little bit of everything, and the effects not taking away from the movie worked very well. And I'm really hoping that's kind of what they do with here, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to because it's going to be cheaper to do this stuff on CGI.
Now, I'm weird with the Beetlejuice stuff. I'm not really a huge fan of the movie, but I have seen every episode of the cartoon growing up as a kid. I even had some of the action figures. I wonder, is that canon to the story, or was that just another animated thing off to itself? I don't know.
I don't think it's canon. I don't think the cartoon.
I don't think it is either. I'm just curious. I didn't know if y'all knew. I don't think it is though.
Like I don't think the Ghostbusters cartoons are canon to the movie universe.
Oh, the real Ghostbusters, yeah.
Yeah.
The real,
they had a couple different Ghostbusters cartoons. There was a Ghostbusters and there was a real Ghostbusters. I think one of them.
The real Ghostbusters, yeah.
But I don't think they're canon to the movie. So I mean that. I don't think also a lot of people that I've read about didn't really like the cartoons. I mean, the kids did because they're kids and they all like cartoons. But it's like people who grew up watching this particular film were like, it's a little too PG, or even that G-rated. I mean, it's like you're not seeing him like you wouldn't watch that cartoon and see him say, "Nice fucking model," and grab his dick. I mean,
right.
Because that's one of the things that makes this movie funny. He's very R-rated. He's a grotesque kind of individual who has no filter. And in the cartoon, he was more of a bumbling idiot in the cartoon than he was kind of the guy who was so aggressive. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people didn't really like.
Do y'all think they're gonna woke Beetlejuice in this new movie? I just thought of that.
No.
You know,
That's not the character. I haven't seen it yet. Obviously, I'm going to see it in the next couple of days. But I mean, I don't. You can't.
Right.
You would completely ruin the character. Like, I mean, look, all the things that he did in this movie. I mean, yeah, a lot of them probably wouldn't fly today, but he's got to be that same character, or else there was no point. I mean, if he were to come back from the afterlife, somebody says his name 3 times, and he comes out and goes, "Oh, Lydia, I'm glad I got you to see it. I'm just so sorry about everything I did. I've been to some sensitivity classes down here in the afterlife, and I've learned how I was wrong." But I would walk out of the movie if they did that. I'd be like, "No, I'm done." Unless they made it a gag. If they made it a gag, and that's how he tries to get Lydia to like come a little closer to him, and then he like grabs her and tries to fucking mess with her again, it's like that would be kind of a funny gag. But if that's what they did in the movie, I'd be like, "No."
I could see Beetlejuice saying something crass, or you know, something that he shouldn't, and having Jenna Ortega say, "You can't say that anymore," and then have some kind of poke fun at the whole woke thing nowadays. I could see a scene like that going down in the film or something.
Well, because
I don't know how far they're going to go with it.
Jenna Ortega is also not really in that camp either. Like she's like, like why are we just taking stuff and making, changing it to female or changing?
Yeah,
she's like, why can't we just make original shit? She's like, I want to just see someone be an original badass. Like, I was like,
yeah, Jenna Ortega. Within the last couple of days.
Gotcha. He slipped right there.
Right? Hey, I'm talking about the whole, what was that chick that made that terrible Acolyte show? Leslie Headland talked about wanting to make a gay James Bond or some nonsense. Jenna Ortega was talking about that.
Yeah, she wants to make James Bond.
You know what they call that? That's called a Freudian slip.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I had the. Sorry, I'm watching football as I'm having this conversation, so I am all over the place right now. But it was. I mean, Jenna Ortega, she doesn't she's smart about her career. Whenever all that stuff went down on Scream 7 with Melissa, what's her face, the one that played Sam for the whole Israel Palestine stuff, Jenna Ortega kind of stayed out of that until the smoke kind of cleared. So she's smart enough to see, hey, let's not fall into this trend of, just do what's popular right now, what's long term. That's when,
like just changing shit for the sake of changing it, not
right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Jenna Ortega's smart enough to be like, hey, I want to be a long term actress, not just while this is popular and then I get forgotten about like others will be. She's smart about that. I'll give her that.
Though, to not fall into that though, be in Hollywood and she's still just
right. Well, and it shows balls for her to be able to call it out and have it not ruin her career. That's the most amazing thing to me is she doesn't really get penalized for being like, hey, why are we doing this when the entire system is eating itself and falling apart with this nonsense? She just calls it out and gets by with it. So good for her.
Yeah.
Bronson says, surprised they got away with the F word. Jeremy's right. There was one. There was just one. You get one. I'm pretty sure 88 was the.
That's why I made that my line.
I'm pretty sure that was after the new guidelines. You're allowed one F-bomb.
The MPAA. When did PG-13 become a thing? What year was that?
After?
As long you're allowed one F-bomb as long as it's not a reference to sex. So if you say not model, that's allowed. You get one. But if you use the F word in relation to a sex act or something, then that's crossing the line, and then you only get the one. That's why in Super 8, which is a movie I wanted to do for a long time, I just keep forgetting to put it on the list. J.J. Abrams, because that's technically a PG-13 or a PG movie because it's really about a bunch of kids, and he's got the one in there, and he said he wanted to put one in there, but he struggled with where to drop it in. So it's like when the one kid gets out of the car and he rolls up to where the bus had been knocked around by the giant alien thing, he looks at it and goes, "What the fuck?" That's the one time he uses the movie because he wanted that expression of the kid was high, surprised by everything going on. But yeah, that's you get
Where
one.
the fuck do we get ice cream?
You get one.
That's one of my favorites.
Oh, you see, I'm Rachel's surprised. She's surprised you didn't crack open a Beetlejuice Santa.
And I said as much because I still have my diet Dr. Kelp. God damn it.
What the hell is a Dr. Kelp?
Oh god. Okay, fine. For part 2 of me being a millennial. Okay, so there's a whole joke, and actually it's right on the back. There's a whole joke in SpongeBob.
Oh, James, never mind. I've seen enough. I'm good.
And the whole goddamn episode, they're just trying to deliver this damn piece to this guy, and they get there, and the guy's like, "So where's my drink?" He's like, "What?" He's like, "My drink? My Diet Dr. Cal? How am I supposed to eat my pizza without my drink?" Like, he freaks the fuck out on him.
My goodness.
It's a whole thing. I'm sorry that SpongeBob's just too cool for Tex over here. Is he mad because that whole episode about Texas and how Texas is dumb? Is that
no?
You get
when my children
one of the most
were young,
characters. Sandy Cheeks.
When my children were young, we went through like 3 years and we watched nothing but SpongeBob. So I've got some PTSD and some unresolved feelings that I have. I hate that. That and Frozen, I will never get over in my life. Like that scarred me for. I hate them both.
So he can't.
No, thank you.
I actually put.
Fuck you, Disney Plus. You go right to hell. I
put my Disney Plus on my daughter's phone so she doesn't come over and take over my big TV, my 55-inch, watching Frozen or whatever she wants to watch. It's like, here, log in. Here's my login for Disney Plus on your phone. Put your earbuds on. I'm going to watch sports. You sit there and watch Frozen or whatever the hell, all you want on your phone.
Look, I was doing just fine as well. I had never seen Frozen, and I'd never wanted to see Frozen in my entire life because it was annoying. I agree. However, when we went to go visit a friend and their like 7-year-old daughter, that was her favorite fucking movie. I was not going to tell this little 7-year-old girl, like, no, we can't watch Frozen. She was so excited for it. She watches it like the first time, every time. Amazed by it.
Oh,
like,
you learned to say no after the 15th time of putting that thing on replay. You learned to say no real quick.
It wasn't my kid. I'm just like, you know.
This is why there's a TV.
I wasn't going to tell her no.
This is why I put TVs in my kids' rooms. I was like, you guys go watch your kids' shit. I can do it every now and again to try to work, just so I can sit with them and watch TV. Sometimes I'm like, nope, can't do it.
This is the whole, like, you know, I don't care how much of a tough badass you think you are. When a kid hands you a phone, you fucking answer it. You don't break their heart. You answer the fucking phone and you go with it.
Damn right. Let's see. But let's move into some trivia now, and obviously there's plenty of it to go into in this movie. Michael Keaton, this is something I had heard, but I don't know if I necessarily believe it, but I believe it at least in some parts. It says he ad-libbed 90% of his lines. I don't know, Jeremy, you believe that?
Really?
I believe that. I totally do. It's like when you think about like trying to emulate that, and I'm gonna be a pretentious dick when I say I'm an actor. Like to be able to just riff that fast and just keep it going seamlessly like that. I'm like, it's like you gotta have to know where you're going, and I can't believe that every one of those takes was like, you know, just one. I'm pretty sure he just riffed a bunch of stuff and just let it all happen, let it all come out in some organic manner, and that's just kind of what they kept. I could totally believe that. Yeah, it's hard to actually do that like on purpose and in line with like. You'd be scribbling out a whole like paragraph for him to just say when he first like meets them, and it's like, nah, just let it let it feel the room, let it happen. Tim Burton's a weird dude. He'd probably be like, nah, just whatever comes to your mind. Let's go.
Well, it's partially Tim Burton letting him, but like I said, I mean, he came from that kind of manic comedic background anyway. So while maybe not as flamboyant and out there and extroverted about it as a guy like Robin Williams was over the course of his career, he did still have that mindset of just like going. I'm going to build off this line, and even if something doesn't work, he's got a good premise. He's like, maybe I'm going to tweak it again in the next take, and then it's like, so he's ad-libbing and then building it up a bit. I don't recall. Did he have a? I don't think he had a background in stand-up. I don't think Michael Keaton had a background in stand-up.
I've never heard of Michael Keaton ever done stand-up. I've never heard of that.
I may be thinking of somebody else, but yeah, I mean that was his thing back in the '80s anyway. He did have a little bit of that Robin Williams things about him. So not entirely surprised, but Tex touched on it earlier. Michael Keaton, much like Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs, he only appears in 14 and a half minutes of this entire film.
14 and a half. Okay. So I was like just on the edge. I said, what did I say, 10 to 15? So yeah, I was right around it.
We're close. Damn.
Texas.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I do think.
Talk about being memorable, though. Yeah,
Yeah.
when that is the namesake of your movie, and he's only in there for 15 minutes. I mean, what one that we're gonna do here soon, like Jaws? I'm like, well, you don't see the damn shark until like more than halfway through the movie, but you
In the
remember that
first-
you don't want to go swimming.
I think you only see him like in the TV commercial where he's riding a cow like it's a horse. Once they're dead, that's the only time you see him in the first 45 minutes. Other than that, it's like grunts and like a hand sticking out of the ground on that, deal in the attic. And that's what, I mean, the whole, Bruce the Shark is a great comparison. I didn't think to use that. I mean, they created an entire fandom with cartoons and merchandise. They have merchandise the bejesus out of these characters. I mean, they are everywhere. And I mean, it's like, okay.
Oh, good.
How long does he wear that striped suit? Like 5 minutes in this movie? Like he doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't wear it for very long. But that image, like the bright neon green hair, which I've always found so funny. Michael Keaton goes from playing a pale white guy with green hair to fighting a pale white guy with green hair. I've always thought that was kind of a riff, but whatever. But that look of that striped suit made such a visual. I mean, that's an iconic look at this point. And it's, to get so little of it and have it last this long, that's, you did something right there. So you got to give that credit.
I was going to say, you see the sandworm for like maybe a second.
Yeah.
How much of that fucking sandworm I see everywhere? And like you barely even see it when you do see it. So I'm like, that stuck around. So
now, what's more deadly, the sandworm from Dune or the sandworm from Beetlejuice? If they're going 1v1, who's winning that fight?
Well, I mean, one's I guess I'm like dead, right? So
I don't know.
No, I'm saying it'd be an interesting fight. Let's get that on the bring back that celebrity deathmatch claymation show and do that one. That'd be fun.
God, yes.
Okay, so no, Michael Keaton does not have a history of stand-up. I thought he did. He does not. It says here he first appeared on TV in Pittsburgh public television programs Where the Heart Is and Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in 1975. And Mr. Rogers,
didn't he ad-lib?
He played one of the he played one of the Flying Zucchini Brothers of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I'm gonna have to go look at it.
All right.
Didn't he ad-lib the scene of you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts in Batman '89? I'm pretty sure I heard somebody say that he ad-libbed that.
I think so. I think we even mentioned that during the review.
I think he did also ad-lib, that I'm Batman. Like he just let it, he was supposed to say like I am the night.
Tell your friends about me.
Yeah. Who are you, man? I'm Batman. I'm like, right, that became the whole thing. It's simple and to the point.
Let's talk about Glenn Shattuck for a minute, who played Otho. When Glenn Shattuck passed away in September of 2010, the last song performed at his memorial service was Deo, which was used in the dinner party scene.
I was like, that's amazing.
He was also really funny in Demolition Man. He played like the sniveling assistant dickhead to the mayor or the president or the god or whoever the hell that guy was. But he was also pretty good in that as well. I honestly can't think of anything else I've seen him in other than those two things. I mean, I have to go look. But
he always reminds me of the voice of what was the guy that did the Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous? That guy's voice.
Robert Leach. Robin Leach.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of him a little bit, like voice wise and stuff. I don't know why, but he just reminds me of him. So.
No, Robin Leach had a real heavy British accent.
I don't know. It just for some reason, those two are similar to me in my head, man. I mean, I'm weird, but what are you gonna do?
Let's see. When Adam and Barbara are in the office, a voice in the PA system announces that Flight 409 is arriving at Gate 3. United Airlines Flight 409 crashed into a mountain in Wyoming on October 6, 1955, killing all the passengers and crew. At the time, it was one of the worst plane crashes in history. 3 plane crashes actually occurred in 1955 for a total of 66 casualties. To this day, no one knows why that plane crashed.
Jesus.
Were they flying on
if that was
Boeing airplane? Because in 2024, those aren't doing real well either. So maybe there's a connection there.
I think Boeing had it going on. yeah, they Boeing had it going on back then. They were probably doing all right.
How many state secrets were on that airplane? That's what I want to know. Who were they trying to silence? There's a conspiracy here.
Somebody had dirt on Hillary Clinton. That's what it was.
But, hey, you gotta watch out for that Clinton kill list. Now that we've said it on YouTube, we're probably getting whacked before the night's over. So, it's been fun, y'all. So, what you gonna do?
Let's see.
In the afterlife.
The visual effects budget for this movie. The visual effects budget for this movie was just $1 million. That was a major factor.
Wow.
Tim Burton deciding to make the effects look as tacky and B-movie as possible. But again, that's one of the things that give this movie a little bit of magic. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
I mean, that thing right there is horrifying. Like, if I saw that coming at me.
Well, that's part of the charm of it. I mean, that's what I'm kind of curious about how Beetlejuice 2 is. Obviously, they're going to emulate this, the everything that made this film so iconic. But is it going to be like they're memeing it and just kind of just trying to recreate, or are they going to take it to the next level? Because this is such a film of its time that you can just, like, a movie like this belongs on like one of those big wood panel televisions that weigh 500 pounds and sink the floor in whenever you take it into the living room. This is one of those movies I think of when I see that. So.
We already talked about how this was kind of the opposite of The Exorcist, but actually the idea for this movie came after the film Poltergeist became a hit. But the idea was flipped. The people who moved into the house would be the people who moved into the house would be the awful ones.
Yeah,
We the baddies.
I will say, if I have to choose house from Poltergeist or this, I'm taking this house because I love this place. Like that whole little town from where it's at and everything. Like, I don't know why. I don't know where I need to go to find one of these bridges that's covered for some reason and nothing else around it is. But I've always wanted to drive on one of those. So I need to find one. We don't have those in
Ohio. There's plenty
I've
of them.
looked. I have never seen one.
Every 10 feet here in Ohio in some place.
I was going to say, I'm like, I actually know where there's one, probably like 5, 10.
But okay, why is the bridge covered then? Like, somebody explain this to me because it makes no sense.
I don't know. Well, they've got them in a couple of spots in California. Where I come from California, there's several of them. But you ever see that Clint Eastwood movie? You ever see the Clint Eastwood movie he did with Meryl Streep years ago called The Bridges of Madison County? Or at least
I don't think so.
Madison County.
I've heard of it.
Madison County is about 30 minutes up the road from me.
Ah, there you go.
That whole area.
So I need to. So I'm going to come visit y'all, and y'all are going to take me bridge hunting, so I can finally check this off of my to-do list before I die.
I said,
That's what we're going to do.
Right here.
We won't have to go far. I mean, we probably drive past 3 of them going down to the local grocery store.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, Jeremy's not kidding. They're kind of everywhere out here. It's kind of an Ohio.
Yeah.
But what could have been for Beetlejuice? I don't know. Let me get your guys' thought on this one. This is where some casting gets interesting. Tim Burton originally wanted Sammy Davis Jr., a favorite star of his since he was a child, to play the role of Beetlejuice. But studio executives didn't like that idea at all. And I got to admit, I agree.
I don't know if that would work.
I have to ask, would they make him go whiteface for the movie? Because that would have been hilarious to see. Just saying.
I think he just would have been.
Just saying.
If they did, they would have gotten mad about it 35 years later, like they did for everything else.
Right. You wouldn't have got it.
We talked about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory earlier. The role of the Candyman and the Gene Wilder Willy Wonka. They actually wanted Sammy Davis Jr. for that role. But in 1970, 71, when the movie was filming, they thought, I mean, he was obviously a big star, Rat Pack, the whole thing, going back in the 50s, 60s. He was already huge. Yeah. They thought that he was going to be too big of a star for the movie. And Gene Wilder, while he was kind of on the come up at the time, was still kind of fairly early in his career. This is before all the stuff he did with Richard Pryor, all the great comedies he did. he was still fairly young in his career, so they didn't want him in those 1 or 2 scenes he was going to be in the movie to overshadow the rest of the film. So they decided not to cast him. I feel like it's the same thing here. I mean, because in 1988, I mean, I don't remember what year he died, but I mean, it was close to the end of his life.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I don't remember how old he was when he died, but. Or what year he died, but it's like, but yeah, he might have been too big of a star, whereas Michael Keaton was kind of coming into his own at this point. I mean, yeah, he had been the big comedic actor through most of the 80s, but I mean, this was kind of, I mean, he was hitting like the peak of his ascension at that point. So maybe it would have been too big. But on top of that, I can't see like Sammy Davis Jr. turning and looking at the camera and being like, "Nice fucking model," and grabbing his dick. You know what I mean? It's like maybe if I was drinking with him in the Rat Pack at the fucking at the Tangiers or something back in the day, I would see him do it. But it's like I can't see him playing the same kind of role, playing the way that Michael Keaton played to make it so iconic. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm good. I'll stick with Keaton. I'm good.
Sammy Davis Jr. died May 16th, 1990, and he was 64. So you have been cutting it pretty damn close.
Okay.
So
yeah, and I'm not sure what his health was at that point in his life either. I mean, I think he was like a heavy smoker, so he probably did cancer and stuff like that as well. But yeah, I don't see Sammy Davis Jr. doing this.
No.
But let's see. The skeleton head on the top of Beetlejuice's merry-go-round looks remarkably like Jack Skellington, which I could not fit into this picture. A skeleton figure that Tim Burton had been drawing since 1982 and would ultimately be used as the main character of The Nightmare Before Christmas in 1993, which Tim Burton co-wrote and produced.
I say, well, it came out a few years later, so to be honest, I mean, not too long after this, we got Nightmare Before Christmas. So
yeah, there's another.
So is it a Tim Burton verse, or are they all in the same world then, even though they're different studios?
There's a reference to Batman too, like you were saying.
That's what I was just about to say. I think
you got the bat wings. Yeah,
Batman.
He's got bat ears right there. Yeah. I think the next two movies that he did were Batman and the sequel. I think I'm not sure, but
I think to Texas,
Batman '89. Well, obviously Batman came out in '89. Return wasn't until '91, wasn't it?
Or it was the next
'92?
I think it was the next two Tim Burton films that he worked on with the two Batman movies or something like that. I forget how I read it.
Oh yeah.
I would say to Texas question, I think there's a theory that we suggest that it is all the same universe, or at least in some capacity, because like as Tim Burton says, sometimes like some of the greatest stories aren't exactly told in order. So when you look at it's like Frankenweenie, and then I can't remember the middle one, and then Zero.
Was that Coraline or something?
But it's like it's got to be the same dog and the same like guy throughout this whole thing. I'm like, could be.
So Zero's the same dog as in Frankenweenie.
Frankenweenie. There was like a third right in the middle. I don't know if it was from not Corpse Bride. What's the third one? Hold on. Ramble on.
I can't remember.
Was it the dog from Frankenweenie that they were dodging and then ended up driving off the bridge?
You know what?
Hey, there was the dog in Batman Returns that was in the Red Triangle Circus Gang or whatever. So there is a theme here going. So,
oh no, I think that's what I thought it was. Scraps from Corpse Bride, because he's still Bones at that point, and then Zero is a ghost. So
yeah,
I think that's what. Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
That the kid.
So maybe there's like different worlds, like in it's been first I've seen Nightmare Before Christmas, how they travel to different worlds. Isn't that like they go through the tree or whatever? I can't remember.
Yeah, the different trees. Yeah. To be fair,
yeah. So maybe maybe there's a tree in maybe there's a tree in Nightmare Before Christmas that Beetlejuice hangs out in or something. Like that's kind of fun to think.
Maybe there's just like a whole Burton forest out there. That's just all of his little worlds and like different trees and shit.
A whole Burton forest full of sad goth kids that just are just awkward and.
That's not people you're talking about. Hey,
I got to get my shots in where I can now. Come on now. Hey, I tolerate every one of your yeehaw people. I get to get mine back. You know what I'm saying?
I have to tolerate them too. They live here too. There's plenty of cornfield right now. There's plenty of y'all here.
Yeah, that's what we call y'all alternative. If I dress in all black like Johnny Cash and say some country, I'm telling you, it's here.
Let's see. In the dinner scene, according to Dick Cavett, Tim Burton tried to film the scene where the shrimp jump off the plates and attack the dinner party by positioning stagehands beneath the table and pushing them up to grab their faces. Cavett suggested placing the shrimp on their faces and filming them as they fell off, then running the film in reverse, which Burton did. Very similar to how Rick Baker did the werewolf growing effect in American Werewolf in London.
Greatest werewolf transformation ever. Love that scene.
I'm telling you, sometimes like these effects, I'm like, it's a lot easier than you really think it is. You just got to be, you gotta have the ingenuity.
Have y'all ever seen Society? It was like the horror film.
Yep.
The shunting. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That scene, the transformation of the werewolf in American Werewolf in London and the shunting from Society are like two of the top like practical visual effects that are burned into my brain. And if you know, you know, but it's they're very memorable.
Stay away from the rich people.
Yeah, and if you've never seen Society, don't, because it's not that great of a movie. And once you see people come out of certain orifices, you can't forget it. So, fair warning ahead of time.
Let's see. Something we alluded to earlier, along with Spaceballs in 1987, Big from 1988, and Caddyshack 2 from 1988, this movie is notable for containing the F word in a film rated PG during the new PG-13 era.
Right.
All right. Well, it's not like these kids aren't hearing these words, like their dads say these words anyway. So I've never really understood. I've professed my gripes with the MPAA on this show multiple times, but I think they play so fast and loose with the rules. It's ridiculous. It's so dumb.
Yeah, they swear like crazy just about everything nowadays, so it does seem kind of trivial.
Right, yeah. Who cares? What's the big deal?
This is actually the first Tim Burton movie that ever won an Oscar.
Son of a bitch.
He got the Oscar for, what I think earlier, special effects?
No.
Best makeup, I'm sorry. It won the Academy Award for best makeup, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
You want to talk about some other more cool casting possibilities? Kirstie Alley was the first choice of the role for the role of Barbara, but the producers of Cheers wouldn't let her out of her contract to play the role. Sigourney Weaver, Linda Blair, Goldie Hawn, Laura Dern, and Linda Hamilton were also.
Linda Blair would have been great.
Linda
Blair would have been great.
Wouldn't that have been fantastic? Since it's kind of the reversal of
the reverse exorcism,
right? Yeah. Well, and
you would have seen him like, wait a minute, haven't I seen you before?
For her playing Reagan from putting crucifixes inside of herself to be like, oh, I'm dead. Okay. Like just to see that, that difference in placement would have been great to see.
I know where you'd place it. That moment when all of a sudden his head spins around, he goes, whoa, don't you hate when that happens? He could look right at her and be like, don't you hate when your head does that? Like, that would have been the moment.
Beetlejuice is sitting there eating pea soup as he meets her or something. That could have been fun as well, just have little nods to it or whatever. I couldn't see Kirstie Alley in this, though. I could see Linda Blair, but I don't like Kirstie Alley, but I don't know. Whatever.
Kirstie Alley could have done it. I think she would have been good at it. Sigourney Weaver, I think, would have been a bit too much. Because she's got such screen presence that she can soften up just fine and be like a more homely, kind of comforting, mothery kind of woman. But her presence is so big, I don't think it would have fit.
I was going to say, she did that. She went from Alien to freaking Ghostbusters, and that's two different kinds of character that she played.
Yeah.
Yeah, Linda Blair would have been totally the meta pick. Goldie Hawn would have been fun. she does great comedy anyway. She always has. Laura Dern would have been interesting. But Linda Hamilton would have been interesting.
Geena Davis, though.
Yeah, well, she was great at it. But Linda Hamilton would have been interesting to me because obviously she had done Terminator at this point and some other stuff. But she managed to turn on that softer side in Children of the Corn and still play a softer character in a very intense movie. So Linda Hamilton probably could have.
God, that's a boring movie to watch.
But Linda Blair, yeah, that would have been so meta. It's like
that would have been great.
That would have been fantastic. I wish that filmmakers thought that way back then, the way that they do now about let's like being meta is something that's very, very new in film and television. Right. It's very recent, and if they would have done that back then, that'd have been fantastic. But
I don't know. Back in the '80s, they did Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, which was a playoff of obviously Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they even brought back I can't remember now. Who played Leatherface? The original dude. Gunnar Hansen. Gunnar Hansen reprised. He spoofed himself in Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers back in the 80s.
Oh,
so they even did meta back then. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It wasn't when they did Casper, like all of a sudden Dan Aykroyd runs out in a Ghostbusters outfit. He's like, who are you going to call? Somebody else. He just takes off.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, God.
I mean,
funny.
I don't think they really got meta until I would say Scream kind of popularized meta because Wes Craven literally turned an entire genre on itself. You know,
that was probably the beginning of people doing it a lot more like bigger.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Pictures.
Yeah, like casually, the janitor in the hallway's got like the striped sweater and the hat.
He's wearing the red and green sweater. And...
He's like, "What?" I'm like,
"What's your name?" Hey, Fred. Hey, Fred. See you later. But the people that could have been in this movie, it could have been Lydia. Juliette Lewis actually auditioned for the role. Lori Loughlin, Diane Lane, Sarah Jessica Parker, Brooke Shields, Justine Bateman, Molly Ringwald, and Jennifer Connelly all turned down the role.
Molly Ringwald wouldn't have worked.
I don't know. 88. She still had her 80s thing going. I mean, maybe Molly
Breakfast Club and shit, but like,
which of the Lampoon movies was Juliette Lewis in?
Christmas Vacation.
Was it Christmas Vacation? See, what year was that? That was 80.
That was 89? Yeah, something like that.
I think late.
I think, yeah. So she was right. She could have pulled that off. I could have seen her in that. Yeah.
I mean, going over these lists, Lori Loughlin, no, wasn't Lori Loughlin. She was already doing Full House at this point. I think
Full House wasn't. No, Full House was in the
89.
Like, right? That was in the 90s. That was Full House.
I'm wondering if maybe
I'm pretty sure.
Old. I don't know. Diane Lane.
I mean,
maybe
yeah,
I think Diane Lane was probably still young enough to do it. Sarah Jessica Parker, I could have done without. Brooke Shields, I feel like Brooke Shields was already like her mature hotness by the time the mid or late 80s rolled around. So maybe that wouldn't have worked. Yeah. The one that really gets me though is Justine Bateman. God, dude, what happened to her? She was hot.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of fell off.
And her
Full House started in 87. I was gonna say, I know it was like
that's what I thought.
That started in 87?
I knew it was back in
Holy crap.
I knew it
was I thought that started like 92 or 93. Okay. I was off on that.
Yeah.
But the one that gets me is Justine Bateman. It's like she obviously started with Michael J. Fox in Family Ties as the sister, but she had a couple of movies on her own in the 80s that were pretty good. She did one called Satisfaction where she was like the lead singer of like a girl rock band. It was kind of cool. And she was huge. And I just, for some reason, she just disappeared. I don't know why, but maybe if she would have done this movie, I think she would have done well. Maybe if she'd have done this movie, maybe it would have helped her, extend her career a little bit. Jennifer Connelly was very young and hot. Not young, but I mean, she was probably 18, 19.
Just to say, yeah.
Because she was, when she did Labyrinth, she was only like 16.
Something like that.
How old was Winona Ryder when she did this film?
She was like 17.
Oh, she was pretty young. She was probably 17, 18.
That's what I'm saying. She was, I figured like 16 to 18, somewhere in that range. I didn't know how old she was.
But like in 88, I think she was 17. So
yeah, because this was one of her first big roles as well.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, between this and Stranger Things, like she can like forever go to cons and make money. Even if she never acts ever again, she's set up for life, so she's good. So,
what was that one? What was that one? She played the the Salem witch trials. She was like, fuck, what was that called? God damn! Now I gotta go down a rabbit hole. Hold on.
She was in a Salem witch trial film.
Yeah, hold on.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Oh, The Crucible. I was like, because I know it was a book because we read it in fucking school and we watched the movie. Yeah, 96.
I don't think I've ever watched that.
Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis. I mean, if that doesn't tell you anything, Winona Ryder.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
he doesn't do too many bad movies. Yeah.
So if you weren't sold on that, I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis, man, plays the main guy. Yeah, it was kind of fun. I'm reading. Sorry. Yeah, because it's about Daniel Day-Lewis plays a guy who's a married man, and he has to break off his affair with this young lover who's played by Winona Ryder. And she's the one, and Winona Ryder's the one that kind of leads all these girls into this like cult ritual thing. It's like, hey, maybe don't do that in the town of Salem because they will kill you for it, you know. And a whole fucking witch hunt goes underway, and it's a whole fucking, it's just absolutely baller.
Right.
So not only that, but yeah. Thanks, high school reading class.
Yeah, one more piece of trivia again about casting. This could have been interesting. The role of Otho, some actors considered for it were John Candy, John Goodman, and Bob Hoskins.
Oh wow!
Wow, all three heavy hitters, and not just because they're fat.
Well, I feel like John Candy could have knocked that one out. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah,
I feel like in a comedic role, John Candy could have done just about anything.
True,
but he's such a big personality for that being a side character. Do you think he would have overtook the rest of the cast, though? You know what I'm saying?
I don't think
Otho was kind of in and out. He wasn't like the focus. Yeah,
but John Candy was never that kind of an actor. It's like even in the stuff where like.
Well, no, I'm not saying he was, but his personality was so big. I don't know.
I don't think so. He was so homely and down to earth. He didn't, as good as he always was on camera. I don't think he would step on screen and then steal the entire movie away. He knew how to fit his performance in with movies very well. I mean, because he could have been one of those stars. Because let's face it, when Home Alone came out, he could have been one of those people that was too big and kind of overrun the rest of the cast. That little cameo he has in that movie, but he's not. He fits in perfectly. He was not only extremely good, he was a chameleon. He was like, oh, this is what this production is. Maybe I'll pull back a little bit and just kind of like play in this scene and then not be too much. And his personality in real life, from what I've read, was kind of so aw shucks, and he was such an easy guy to get along with anyway. It's like some people, he doesn't jump in front of a camera and then try to command it the way that some people do. It's like some people turn that thing on when they get in front of a camera. It's like they start speaking, the camera just switches to them. John Candy, I don't think was ever really that kind of guy.
My favorite John Candy role will always be Nothing But Trouble. I don't know if y'all ever saw that movie.
You know what? That's the movie I've been wanting to do.
I love that movie. It's a great film. I love it.
The song from that movie that it was the first time that Tupac ever did a video. It was his big debut. And Public Enemy, I guess he was writing for Public Enemy, and Public Enemy was like, "Why don't you get into this fucking rap with us, bro?" And that was the first time that Tupac was ever on a song.
Oh wow,
that video's fun. That video's dope. I still listen to it.
It's a good movie though. I like Nothing But Trouble.
Roseanne was 88. Was when it premiered, so I'm like, you'd be cutting that close with John Goodman. So I don't know.
Well, not so much. I mean, because he had done Revenge of the Nerds like 4 years before that. He had done.
But I'm saying you're in this.
Raising Arizona.
Maybe John Goodman was busy for his career-breaking role in Chuds, where he plays a cop that's hitting on the waitress over there. Yeah, maybe he was busy that day. You know what I'm saying? So who knows?
He was busy dining in a little diner.
For that 2 seconds he's in the movie, that could have took a week to shoot. We don't know their schedule. We don't know what's going on. So.
Yeah, between all the shoot commercials, yeah. I don't know.
That's funny.
Oh, he also played in Sweet Dreams, that biopic about Patsy Cline. I didn't know that.
Never saw it.
Good movie. Sissy Spacek, or not Sissy Spacek. It's on that movie. I forget the other movie. But and once again, I will never ever not talk about how great he is in that HBO series, Righteous Gemstones. Fantastic. He's an absolute gem.
You keep talking about that. I need to watch that show.
Right.
I need to get on that one.
You keep saying that word. I don't think you know what that word means.
Well.
God, who was in that movie? Jessica Lange. Jessica Lange plays Patsy Cline in that movie.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And Ed Harris plays her husband. So it's got Jessica Lange and Ed Harris.
Hey.
Worth watching. But that's all the trivia that I've got. So we'll go ahead and start to wrap things up here. I don't know. Jeremy, how about you? Give me your final thoughts on Beetlejuice as we get ready to break down Beetlejuice, the second sequel next week.
You be careful. You say that a third time, we're going to have a problem.
They weren't like different sentences. They shouldn't count.
There's enough time has passed. I don't think it counts. Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. Why is this not working? There we go. Yeah, it's like I said, you're not even really mad that like Michael Keaton doesn't show up for like more than 45 minutes into this movie, but yeah, absolutely. Just as soon as he hits the ground, I mean, kind of literally just keeps on running. And it's a fun, like I said, it's a fun kind of just whimsical look at, the afterlife. And this is, yeah, I guess in a way, a reverse exorcism. So whatever that's supposed to mean. It's kind of like if there's some sort of weird afterlife, even though it sucked being kind of corporatized in that manner, I'm like, you know what, it'd be kind of fun though. It'd be an interesting take if that's how it worked, and maybe if the book made any damn sense, might be able to navigate it a little better. Yeah, maybe you don't read the chapters in the right order. I don't know how it works. I've never been recently deceased, so don't know. Yeah, it's worth it.
I was close if it counts.
It's pretty close.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a fun watch, and it's something I'm hoping that with the sequel, it'll fit in pretty well. Like I said with Alien, Romulus, I'm like, you know what? I think it fits in there pretty snugly between the only two Alien movies, in my opinion, that actually exist. So I can safely say there are three. And we'll just leave it at that. So I hope this one actually, in tandem, goes hand in hand.
Tex, how about you? Give me your final thoughts on Beetlejuice.
Yeah, standard of the genre, iconic performance from Michael Keaton. Not my favorite film in the world. It's not one I visit regularly, but it's got a charm to it. It's an 80s standard that you need to see if you haven't seen it. And if you haven't seen it, what planet are you living on? I don't know anybody who hasn't seen it.
The one with the apes.
But well, hey,
ironically, yeah.
Just don't make out with them and you'll be fine. Stay away from those damn dirty apes.
Stay away from Abe Lincoln, damn it.
Be a Charlton Heston in a world of Mark Wahlbergs. Okay, that's what you need to be. But
oh, sure, goddammit.
Yeah. But yeah, Beetlejuice, it's a standard. It's a must watch, and if you haven't seen it, go check it out. And I just hope Beetlejuice 2 is fun. I have no expectations going in. I hope they turn on Michael Keaton and break the knob off. Just let him go. Just let him have fun. So that's what I'm hoping for. So we'll see.
Let him get nuts.
Yeah, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Go to the chat real quick. Jeremy just answered the chat. I can tell your mom. The movie that John Goodman did about the war art was called The Monuments Men. It was based on a true story about some art historians and art collectors, art experts that the military sent in after World War II when they started finding all the art and stuff that the Third Reich had stolen.
That's when they got the...
And that's a fantastic movie.
That's when they got a certain person man's gold and art that we can't say his name on YouTube or we'll get took off of.
Anyway. He wants to say his name anyway.
Yeah.
Dan Belair says it all around the world, the same song. That's a great video. It's a great song. I loved it. I still jammed that, dude. That's so good. That video was fun too. It's just about as fun as the movie. I love that song. And again, the debut of Tupac. AJ Papa. What's going on, AJ? Good to see you, brother.
Hey.
What's
But
up, AJ?
my thoughts on it. It's a classic. I mean, it's one of those movies. Look, sometimes you can't. I can give you all the reasons why a movie stands the test of time, but the only thing you need to know is if it does. This has great performances, great writing, the visuals work great. I mean, is it the best movie ever made? No. I mean, best effects? No. Best writing? No. Best everything? No. But when you get all these really good things together, it makes a top flight movie. It's so enjoyable. It's kind of like Spaceballs. It's like the movie does not take itself seriously at all, and in that it becomes a serious success. You can't help but love everything about it. It's just fun.
Do you remember when movies were fun?
Yeah. Remember when you could say nice fucking model and guys like Jeffrey guys like Jeffrey Jones.
I watched a friend do that.
Remember when you could like this guy?
Yeah. Well, I watched a friend do that in a haunt. It was so funny. He walked through and he yelled at the guy in the scene. He's like, "Hey, nice fucking model." The guy got a kick out of it, and it was like some tree in the fucking corner, and he did that to him.
Did he go over to kick it first?
Yeah, I think he tried to. He just wanted to go like, "Whoa, nice fucking model."
Yeah, Beetlejuice is available on Max, I believe, right now. I think that's where I saw it. Go watch it on Max. If you have HBO Max, you can watch it there, or find it on other streaming services. Buy it on DVD if you're still in physical media. This is one that really should be in your collection. It's one of the classics. So go check it out.
I did see Walmart. I was in Walmart today. If you want to buy Beetlejuice, they have the DVD available. And you know how at Halloween they always do like the different sleeve covers that, they're all Halloween colored. There's one, it's a black cover and it's got a picture of Beetlejuice's face in bright, like pumpkin orange. So it's back there in the electronics. If you want to go find that, it looks pretty cool. So,
yeah, but definitely go check it out. Thanks to my great co-hosts for coming in here, as always, giving me their expert takes on movies, because let's face it, these guys are movie experts. My head of life, Jeremy, where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
Oh, do I say somewhere in the afterlife? I don't know.
Are we dead? Is this hell? Are we sure? I mean, have we checked?
I can walk outside and see what happens. If I can't leave. Some little bastard dog sitting in a bridge is like, barking at my dead body, and I'm not even aware. With my car in the nose first in a river. Yeah, no, I'm here. We're still a week out from spooky season, but so if I seem a little more tired than usual, that's why. Don't worry about it. I'm just a little bit more recently deceased. Yeah. So Tuesday, Thursday, we'll be back Tuesday to do the second one. I'm not going to say his name even twice. I'm not even going to bring that kind of juju down on me. So yeah, I'll be here.
And to the shape of the Lone Star State, my man Tex, what do you got going on, my friend?
Well, I am happily in the middle of Sawtimber. For the ones that don't know, I have officially renamed the month because I do my 31 for 31 in October. But all of the Saw movies came out at that time. So I love Saw so much. I gave it its own month ahead of time because guess what? Spooky season is all the time. So yeah, in the middle of rewatching the Saw film. So if you would like to do that as such, I would recommend it. But I love the franchise. I make no bones about it. We did 9 hours worth of content about it. I could have done 20 more. But either way.
Speaking of which, me and Tex did that for like a whole goddamn month.
Yeah, we did.
A big mouth.
Right, yeah. But, so yeah, I'll be doing that.
I suffered for the art.
Yeah, we'll be here breaking down whatever we're going to do. And I just hope Beetlejuice 2 is good. So it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tex has seen Saw 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time he sees it.
Shit. Except, I'll say this. The only Saw movie I don't watch in Sawtimber is Spiral because fuck you, Chris Rock. Really ruined my franchise. So I skipped that one.
I don't really consider that one either.
Yeah. I don't count that one. So.
It didn't feel like a Saw movie.
Yeah. It was not a Saw movie.
No.
As for me, you can see me back here on Tuesday. We'll be going over Beetlejuice 2. Beetlejuice. Again, not a great name for a sequel, but whatever. As long as the movie is not terrible.
That's clever. Once and then clever, twice, I'm like, for a sequel, that's
what else were they going to call it? Beetlejuice? Electric Boogaloo? It had to be Beetlejuice. It had to be Beetlejuice.
If it's a goofy enough movie, that would have fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. BJ says that she's going to go see it before Tuesday. But hey, take your mom to go see the movie.
Like I said, if it wasn't, I was going to preface with what I said. I got to find a time to see it too. I'm like, before it gets too damn busy, because it's already starting to stack up.
Mom, drive to his house, grab him by the ear, and say we're going to the movies. Just to do the mom thing.
Hey,
make him go.
Like a Monday or something. I'm like, hey, people probably already saw it on the weekend, so it'll be
use that mother's guilt of giving him life to make him take you to the movies. Moms are good about that.
Now, it just occurred to me. I'm gonna have to take your mom to go see a movie here at some point, probably this fall, because Downton Abbey is going to be coming out. So
there's another Abbey.
I'm gonna have to, maybe I'm gonna have to get a couple of tickets. Maybe me and your mom and Jennifer are gonna have to go. We're gonna put on our nice whatever the hell 1935 era clothing. We're gonna walk in there with some nice tea, and we're gonna have tea and crumpets and watch Downton Abbey 3. So
look, I went to go see that first movie with her, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on because I didn't watch the show like she did. I'm just like, okay.
If you review that, I'm washing my hair that night. I'm busy. Just know that ahead of time. So, yeah.
You'll get all nice and proper.
There was almost a murder in the first movie. Almost.
Okay. Just because a movie has murder doesn't mean I'm watching it and doesn't make it horror. There has to be more substance. I ain't watching your hoity-toity, whatever. I'll be over here watching Terrifier, buddy. So that's where I was.
It was British murder, so it was like stab, pinky up, stab.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you like one lump or two.
Hey, we won a war in 1776, so I don't have to care about British people anymore, by God. So
yeah, but didn't they also take over the rest of the entire fucking world, basically? So I don't see us do it.
Who cares? We're America. Who cares about the rest of the world? We're the best. That's all.
Well, apparently we're supposed to. I don't.
Who has time? Who has time to care about the rest of the world?
It's just too much.
We got enough problems, I think. Who cares about everybody else? We got enough going over here.
No doubt. But that's us for the night. Thanks to my amazing co-host for coming through and being awesome. As always, we will be back here on Tuesday for Beetlejuice, the sequel. Come check us out then. Until next time, adios. I don't know why I started playing the thing.
Daylight coming, warning. So if you go home in the daylight, where you go at nighttime? I need that song to tell me now.
The one thing about this movie that kind of gets me now, I'm thinking about it, is that was a relatively minor car accident that they were in. I've seen people survive way worse. It's like
the car didn't even crumble. It just kind of boom, falls over, and then it cuts. There was no explosions. There was no anything.
They fell into a creek that was a foot deep. You can't tell me they couldn't have climbed out.
I guess Winona Ryder is here. I guess you could say stranger things have happened.
True.
Oh, that was very punny of you. I like what you did there.
They flipped into the upside down. That's how that works.
I tried.